So where are the Asia Pacific youth? Can you raise like your hands? Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Oh, not bad. What about Europe? Okay. And then what about the Africa? Cool. And the like you IGF. Aha. Did I miss any region? Did I include it all? Okay, cool. Seems we have many youth from different part of the world. That's great. So I guess are we projecting the
Indeed, for the PowerPoint is already uploaded to the remote participant platform. Could the technical people just help us to show this on the screen for the slide? Yeah, cool. To start with, thanks Janice for the introduction. I'm David, also from Hong Kong, mainly organizing the coordinator of Lab Mission Ambassador Program. Welcome you all to join this session. This session is for Youth Coalition on Internet Governance. To start with, I briefly introduce what Youth Coalition on Internet Governance is. Started in 2009, this coalition has been established in the IGF, which is organized in Egypt, the Egypt one. After that, we are doing different kind of stuff to promoting youth to be engaged in the internet governance stuff. For our criteria, we want to recruit people under 30 to enjoying the time to be here for the discussion, to engaging more people and the youth voice to be heard and to note about the internet governance. Indeed, we in these few years, we also like to run different kind of program. I would like to show the other slide to you because for last year we got different plans for how we can engage more people, young people in a sense. For this session today, for this session today, I just briefly talk about the agenda of the day first. For the first part, as I've mentioned, I will share the working report of what we have done in last year. And also we have some activities have been done in this IGF Brazil. Then in the other sense, because how we can make things to run smoothly, you need to have another steering committee to be established in a sense to make things going on. That's why we would also like to talk about the chapters things and also discussing among us to see how the steering committee of YCIG should be, because it haven't been very clearly stated in our chapter. I think because for IGF or the nowadays governance stuff, we would like to have an open mindset and which is open for everyone to contribute and to see how thing is a very transparent way to run. That's why we would like to set the other second part of our program for today is doing some kind of consultation and hear what youth think the youth coalition should be. Last but not least, because for next year we still got IGF properly. I think hopefully it should be got another IGF. We still need to plan for our next IGF activities to engage more youth. That we will need you guys to contribute your ideas and how we can make better. Because for this year we have already done a few new stuff like the IGF ABCs for newbies and also some youth makeup. I'll mention it later on. Yeah. Yo. So for some updates for what we have done last year, in last year report, we proposed to doing some few steps on YCIG for this year. The first one is about because of the YCIG website is really pretty old. We would like to have some modification on this. The second one is in the last meeting we think it's important to get a one youth get together event. It's an informal event to let everyone to meet up. For the third one is about send youth speakers to different panels. That's why not only on those things like child online protection things, but also to all different kind of topics that is related to youth. The third one is about the youth survival kit in IGF. The fifth one is the platform to share youth engagement things. The fourth one is forming a advisory group, because as I've mentioned, for membership of Lao, is like to have youth under 13 to join the YCIG, but we really like to have people in senior age to giving some advice on how we should run. This is somehow proposed the ideas for last year. Below is the link. Indeed, you can also check on the internet for our report last year. I mean, the report of session report of last year. So now I would like to talk about and share about some achievement we have done this year. For every one of you, I think you have seen this postcard. This postcard is somehow like the ideas of doing some survival kit for the newbies in IGF. You can check from the website. The website got some ideas on how internet governance is and those kind of meetings, what is the meeting is about, and those kind of introduction to both internet governance and IGF. If you really like to have this shared on your tables, and if anyone got it, you can just go to the website to see it. In other sense, for promoting YCIG, I would like everyone of you to keep check on our Facebook, which is Youth Coalition on Internet Governance. You can join our group. I will be doing some kind of discussion over there, but at the same time, we're doing discussion in mailing list. For the mailing list link, I will share with you guys at the end. So this is the very new initiative you're working on, that we would really like to keep this to be open to all. When you go to the website, you can see the other link, which is a Google document. We would like everyone to contribute to make this be live, keep this sport to be running, because I think not only one-off toolkits to be done in a sense, it's important to keep everyone to be on the track to see which angle you think is important or anything is missing for the survival kit. Just go to our website and everything is on there. And for the other event we are working this year, this year is about the youth mentor youth meetup. Thanks Bianca for doing some coordination work. Bianca have also in touch with some MAP members to join our session. In our session, it's like around 40 youth attend in the youth meetup. For the ideas of youth meetup is somehow very similar to the ideas of doing the day one informal meetings, as we have planned last year and as we have proposed last year. The feedback is quite good. We are still thinking of how we can do for next year, and maybe some modification is needed. We will need your feedback, and we can check about this later on for the way for session. Here's some pictures. For the model, I think it's good to have some meetup with some senior members in IGF. It is also very important to provide a channel for youth to meet with each others. I think for last night, the Latin American youth do a very good job on organizing a beach party on the beach. It's very enjoyable. It's the other kind of informal meetup we enjoy most. I think it's most of us like it. So I'll just like to round of applause for everyone for hosting this awesome event last night. We do get a very good time there. So if you guys got another informal event, you can just share on the Facebook, because I think most of us is communicate through Facebook and also in the mailing list. So just put every awesome thing on the Facebook. We keep on track, and probably we can join every meeting. I mean to join every parties. Yeah. And for the other stuff I would like to share is about the Facebook group. It's newly created last time. previously is mainly communicate through the mailing list. Um, Based on the discussion outcome of last year, we think it's important to have some informal channel to share the stuff. Um, it's grateful that we have already got like 259 members to join the Facebook group. If you like, you can also join the Facebook group and we can do more discussion on Facebook. I think here the end of my report of what we have done last year and we have done in this IGF. For the second part, as I've mentioned, I really like to have everyone contribution on giving your collective wisdom on how the YCIG should run, mainly on two things. The first thing is about the role of our steering committee, because it still need to have a steering committee to make everything things running. The other stuff is about the procedures and the timeline. What that mean? It is about the selection process for the steering committee. Because on the chapters is having lists very clearly how the roles is, and I think because for the chapter is already written on 2009, I think the time has passed and it needs to have some kind of updates to make things to be more efficient ways to be run. Here comes some reference material we like to discuss. You can go to the link for the chapter, and because we are now having some kind of consultation period is running on, you can go to the private pack for the comments. I will pass the time to my colleague Yanis to moderate the discussion. May I have Yanis?
Oh yeah, Pim. If you, if you're on WebEx, actually, then we can share that in the chat. Or actually, if you click www.ycig.org, you can start it online. Then can we just actually show it here in the screen as well? But before we go into the discussions, I think I just want to say this setting is not really right for us. I think we should need a U-shaped table next time, like a round table. So even though we're sitting here, we were not really like, we're just helping to start a discussion. So we need every one of you to really contribute and raise your opinion. It meant to be really open and interactive that we are hoping this section would be, because we are trying to really get more youth voice together and not just like from some of us, or so we're trying to get everybody to really work together. And also just want to add to what David mentioned about Facebook group. I think it's a good outreach to your friends as well, so please invite them to join. But then I guess we will still hope you can join the mailing list as well, so that we can keep all the discussions and on email archives, so that we can have better record as well. And I guess it's not showing up here. Cool. Can you make it a little bit larger, perhaps? So actually, if you have your computer, oh, Pim, please. Oh, yeah, please.
Thanks. Hi, Pim from Dutch IGF. Maybe in the meantime, to do a suggestion to the organization in general, whoever that is, that for the social meetups, it will be really beneficial if this meeting is actually in totally at the beginning, because then everyone sees each other. I suggested that last year as well already.
Yeah.
Because then the meeting was on Friday, so it's really good for everyone to be able to see each other on the first day. So
we moved one day earlier this year.
Yeah.
Well, I think Bianca was trying to help us to do that in the agenda, but yeah, so I guess we can keep advocating that. Yeah. That's a good suggestion. Okay, so yeah, on the screen actually is right now we're showing the charter that was created when this group was actually initiated way back in 2009, and there was in Article 1 it outlines that we need a steering committee to be formed by 3 elected members for the chairs and vice chairs. And only individual members under 30 years old and limited number of representatives of youth organizations can be elected. So with this, actually, we have mentioned in the last year that since we are lacking a an official steering committee right now, so we are pretty loose in a sense that we kind of volunteering basis to like get things going, and then so we would like to really formalize the steering committee this year, and then trying to make the transition with the previous founders of this YCIG group better. So I guess that's why we are doing this election discussion here right now. So this is the background. So I guess so that's why we have created actually we have regular calls before open in the Facebook group chat that we invited youth to discuss about that before. So we have opened a draft in the PowerPad that David just mentioned. So maybe we can just go to the. So I think today we need to discuss. The first thing is the role of the steering committee, because right now in the charter it didn't really outline what's the responsibilities of this steering committee. So I guess since we have so many different voices here and different youth from different parts of the world, I guess we would like to, as a group, to see what do you think from your perspective that the steering committee should have. I mean, what role of the steering committee members should have in this group, and then how many of them do you think is needed? Is it just chairs and vice chairs, or do you think we need some more people to be on the steering committee to make sure this group is like really have projects and working? And I think Pim has the hand up. Please.
Yes, thank you. I think it's very important that there are at least from each continent or zone in the world there is someone represented, since if you're a youth coalition, you also have to be a coalition of all youngsters from all over the world. So that's important. And I would suggest to keep it to 5 or 6 maximum, because that's in general the most workable number for people to meet as well.
Okay, hello everybody. I quickly stand up so everybody can see me. I'm Florian from the IGF and representing Europe. I don't think it's sit down again. I don't think it's necessary to define that we need you from every continent or every region, because that's something we cannot guarantee. So it may be the case that at some point there is nobody who from one region, for example from Europe, who wants to be on the steering committee. So I think it's risky to say that this is a necessity, but I definitely agree that 5 to 6 members is a good amount to have a representative group of people.
Hi, this is Mubashir from Pakistan. I've got a suggestion. Instead of having just regional committees, we can have a central steering committee, and then the regional committees under that global steering committee. That can be a suggestion.
Anybody else? Pim and
Maybe for Florian again. Maybe David or you can first clarify a little bit about the steering committee, because we're now discussing about a group of people and how they should be and how many they should be, but what is the purpose? What is the function? What should it do? So maybe we can first talk about this.
Thank you for the question. Because we're also referring to the chapters for the things. To be confessed, I'm not that familiarized with the chapters in a sense, because I'm not that long period of time engaging. I'm just engaging 3 years ago on the stuff. So I think just referring to the chapters, the steering committee should get some responsibility to organize different kind of activities and represent the groups. As I'm just reading the the documents out in order to promote accountability and transparency on and all documents minutes from the steering committee meetings discussion decisions we will publish at the YCIG website. So it's very unclear to say about what the steering committee should be. But in the other sense, we would like to, because to forming a youth coalition in IGF, need to be at least 3 people from different stakeholder group. I think for the one who established this YCIG, he just want this to be done and to be established at the very first beginning. So haven't think about how the steering committee should be, and is it just for the administration role? It's also been the accountability to organizing events. So I think in the sense we need to discuss what is the role of the steering committee. This is just being the secretaries of the whole coalition, but not making those kind of decisions. They will be very open and how we can form this as a more with more representative way. So I think is the discussion of today for this part, mainly on how many people should be in the steering committee, and also on what things to be done for this steering committee. For example, I think let me make a very simple example. For every meetings, I mean, for every YCIG meeting, IGF, it needs someone to host the meeting. Is it the responsibility for steering committee to host a meeting? They should set up the agendas, and before setting up the agenda, they should doing some consultation with members. This kind of stuff should be discussed for this time.
Hi, I'm Felix. I'm from Net Mission and I'm from Hong Kong. And regarding the role of the steering committee, I think that in the charter it's way too broad and unclear on what it should do. And I think that the primary thing that the steering committee has to do is to lay out specific goals for the year. Like, instead of organizing activities, they should specify what kind of activities they want to hold and where, and just to have a specific year plan for the regarding that year. So.
Pim again from IGF. I think I agree with you in a sense that it would be good to have a specific year plan, but it needs to be voted in and approved by all members, I would say, of the Facebook group or of the coalition, in a way. And because you mentioned the charter being vague, which I would say that the first thing that the steering committee should really do is make that more clear and come up with a proposal to clarify the whole charter.
Florian again. I don't think that the steering committee should do anything with that. I wanna maybe you're familiar with the structure of ICANN. They maybe call it board, but it's somewhat similar. And here today Steve Crocker saying they're just doing what their community is telling them. Sometimes they have to take leadership because it's a rather big organization compared to the YCIG, but I think how's it called, the paper, the charter, thank you, should be designed by the community via the mailing list and not by the steering group.
Hi, this is Haley from Hong Kong as well, and I agree with Flormore because I think like the steering group should not do any like proposing or like decision making, because like I think we should like all of us can like be the one to suggest and propose should be us instead of the steering committee. And I agree that like 5 to 6 people will be enough, but I think that like the steering committee should consist of like at least one representative from each continent.
Hi, it's Felix again. If we let the community speak for themselves, then some bigger groups will have a bigger voice, and then it is possible that some smaller groups and minorities are being left out. So maybe because of language barriers as well. So I think that steering committee has a role to equally address the interests of different groups across different areas and different interest groups as well.
From now on, I will stop saying my name to save my time. No, I don't. I cannot agree. It's for the record, okay. Florian again. Uh, no, I cannot agree because that's the way how a democratic process works. If there are more people agreeing with something, then it's more people agreeing with something. If we simplify to a steering committee of 5, 6, 10 people, then we let out all the other thousands, hundreds of thousands of young people who maybe want to have their voice heard. So I think we should really try to like just copy and paste a little bit from the existing communities and within the internet governance society to say that the community basically makes all the decisions, and if the community is not streamlined and cannot agree on something, that it just doesn't happen. And that's a very direct way, but it takes long, but it's working. We see it's working, so why should we do something else?
Well, I think I'm hearing like several very good suggestions. So I think we kind of have a rough agreement that we think 5 to 6 people is actually a good number for the steering group. But then I'm hearing different views on whether the steering committee should be the one to proposing this specific year plan, or should we make it and just the steering committee as open, like administrative and council to open to have coordinated consultation for this year plan, and it should be adopting like a bottom-up model, which we are trying to engage the multi-stakeholders, I mean different regions of youth to really together to discuss about the plan, and then the steering committee is just help coordinating this effort. So I guess because we are saying that we need to listen to different voices, I guess maybe is there anybody from the Africa or from the UVIGF youth that would like to like comment, or do you have any suggestions, feedback?
Before that, I just like
Okay.
to add a little
Yeah,
bit for the
Felix.
record. I'm not against the democratic process, but it's just that sometimes a lot of places like in Africa or South America, they may have access problems, and they may not be as active as we are on the discussion of the entire process of decision making. So I think that the role of the steering committee is to take into account the effect of the constraints that they may have, and as well as the different barriers that they may have, so that they won't be left out in the entire process. So my point is that we have to, like, everybody have to really participate in this process. So yeah, it's not.
Could I try to get somebody from Africa to speak as well? I think I saw somebody from that part of the region raise hands. So. Or Vlo, if you want to comment.
Florian again. Okay, now I'm kind of distracted in my brain. Where I'm coming from is when we make decisions via mailing list, and if people from regions, for example, from Africa, have problems to connect to the mailing list, then we are facing a completely different problem. Then we have to start build internet infrastructure. But it's not something we can do. We can support it, but that's something that has to be done from somebody else. So if we use the mailing list as our main decision-making process, then I think it's fair to say that everybody who's connected to the internet right now has the possibility to stay connected, because there is mailing is such a simple technology. It can be used like always. And then I want to add up, I think the Facebook group is fine to inform members and fine to inform others, but via Facebook there should not be any discussion or any decision making ongoing, because yeah, it's Facebook, and we don't know how long Facebook's gonna run, and you know, we don't want to be like rely on Facebook on making our decisions. So yeah, we also should make that clear.
Is there somebody at the back want to comment as well, or?
Pim, a short question then, because if you say we can't use Facebook, then we can also not use Google Groups, any other technological thing, in a sense that it can also be very fast, like dying, and there is no archive anymore. So I would rather state that Facebook can be used, but that there should be a really good archive of decisions, etc., on a more central place somewhere. Because then, otherwise, yeah, it becomes impossible to do any remote participation in a sense.
Anya, Network of European Digital Youth, Youth IGF project. Just to comment on Facebook, some people for political reasons don't use this tool for communication, but everybody uses emails. We can identify where we want to store the history of emails and come up with solutions again via democratic process, but I support that some people just might not be on Facebook.
I support what you just said. My name is Gustavo Paiva from Grupo de Estudos de Direito à Internet at UFRN, and I support what you said. I also understand that some people do not go to Facebook for political reasons, which must be respected. At least I think they must. And I would rather work through a mailing list than through Facebook. And I remind you all that IGF has best practice forums and dynamic coalitions that work through mailing lists, and it seems to work out for them. So I think that's to be considered. Thank you.
I saw there's a cane at the back, but before I give the floor to you, I just want to say that I think this is good discussions that I personally agree as well. Facebook probably would be just a good outreach too. But I guess we're going to dip right now into talking about where we're making the decision. But I guess we should really go back to discuss whether the role of the steering committee should be like coordination of all these discussions, or they should be like the one proposing some goals or specific plans. I think that's the question. But maybe we'll let you get back.
Yeah, my name is Alan. I'm from the Youth LAC, and I'd like to suggest some kind of video conferences. And we made the course for a month, and we used some tools that we can indicate to contact ourselves after the IGF during the year, to do not have to wait until the next IGF to have see ourselves in video conferences where you can interfere in the other one's speech and add comments, not only just texting or emailing the people. That's it.
Vianney.
Thank you. My name is Viviane from Aneti, and my suggestion of platform for we discuss about this later could be a group of Google that we can create with the email account and discuss. We can make a lot of things there. My group of research works in the group of Google, so we can create one and put the email lists, and because everyone here has an email, and who don't have can create a Google email. So I think that's a good idea to respect to don't use Facebook for political reasons. So that's my opinion.
Just a clarification, we do have a mailing list, and if you go to ycig.org, you can subscribe to the YCIG mailing list. So we already did have this mailing list, and there are some discussion going on, which is though not enough, I think. So yeah, please.
Hi, my name is Sonia. I'm from the Youth IGF Europe. And going back to the steering committee conversation, I also don't think the steering committee should be making decisions on behalf of the youth coalition, but just keeping up with the events. And I think Alan said there could be video conferences or maybe Skype calls or whatever could be easier, but setting aside the means, I also agree that there should be at least 2 more maybe meetings between the yearly IGFs, because once a year isn't enough.
Florian again. Okay, I want to also go back to the discussion about the steering committee. If we start from the bottom, we say we have our charter that is right now not sufficient to do anything because it's so general speaking. So we have to think about who can actually create the charter or adopt the charter, and that can only be us, the community, not a few people, because we need means and defined rules how we elect the steering committee, and this can only be defined in the charter. So right now we need to work on the charter, and only the community as a whole can work on the charter. And then in the charter we can define how the steering committee should look like. So the way to go is definitely always from the community to somewhere else, and at first to the charter. And when we have our charter, there we can define how the steering community works. But it cannot be that the steering committee defines the charter, because the steering committee doesn't have any right to be without a charter saying how the steering committee should look like. So yeah, we need to go from the community charter first. Yeah.
Thanks, Lauren. Oh, and Babashi.
Hi, I'm Mubashir again from Pakistan. So I agree with Florin that we should first focus on the steering committee. Let the steering committee come up with a draft, and other people can comment on it. Then we can finalize the draft.
That's not what.
Florin here. That's not what I said. I said that the community has to come up with a draft and a proposal how the charter should look like. And in the charter, then can be defined how the steering committee looks like. But the steering committee cannot be the start of the discussion. It has to be the community. Because there is no steering committee without a charter defining what the steering committee is. So we really have to start at the community and not at the steering committee, because otherwise it doesn't make any sense.
Mubashir, I think we should start with a working group that can actually carry out this process, make a draft. I think it could be the steering committee or it can be another working group. So it's up to you guys. You form a steering committee or working group.
Comment? No, I think your mic is working. Just switch it on.
Okay, can you guys hear me? Okay, awesome. My name is Ephraim. I'm sorry I'm late. I'm one of the MAG members. We're organizing the main session on zero rating. I just wanted to highlight this discussion we've had before about the charter. And one of the interim, I work with David and Yanis, who have been trying to have this coalition revived for some time now. And it's nice that you have this great representation here. I'll just go back to this discussion. I'll just give my 2 cents about the whole discussion and about youth and what I think. So on the draft charter, we had come up with a working group, but then it didn't really kick off because I don't know if people went home and some of them didn't really have that momentum to keep this process going. We had opened it up for everyone to make suggestions for amendment to the charter that is in place right now. And I think we can go back to that Google document and share with all of you what we need for everyone to contribute. We want a very open, inclusive process whereby everyone, the community members, not just a few people deciding this is how things are going to go. We want everyone to contribute, and it's public. So when you make your comments and you say, I suggest this is how we need to change, I think that should be open on the record. I don't know if that's clear with everyone. We want the process to be very clear and very open and inclusive for everybody. And a challenge that has occurred, especially with youth involvement in internet governance, has been the lack of funding. Young people cannot be able to raise funds to go from meeting to meeting. For example, myself, I'm from Kenya. Coming here, I wasn't sure. I was talking to Yanis and David last week. I wasn't sure I was gonna come here. I had to do a lot of fundraising here and there, well-wishers and all that, and non-profits. And I got my ticket last week on Friday and then left on Saturday. So you can see the kind of challenges, even not just for me. So this is something which we have continually raised with various people. And today I had a meeting with the Assistant Secretary General for the United Nations over lunch hour, and he told me that they are working on this. This is our concerns have been reflected uh, about young people being involved in this space. And one thing that I would like to credit the UN is for the first time they have three young people, all under 25, on the multi-stakeholder advisory group. Previously, it's been a group for professors, and it hasn't had young people on it. So it's good that they're trying to involve young people. There are avenues, and we just need to keep this process going forward. And let's keep these discussions online. Join the youth working the Facebook group, because I see that's the most active, and join also the mailing list. And then we're gonna put out the link, and then everyone can comment. And we that's my personal views. Not this is not the views of the interim secretariat as it is right now, but it's my personal views that this is how the process should go moving forward. That we need to have this online on a Google Doc. I'm sure all of you can access that. You can work on it from anywhere in the whole world, wherever you are, and then invite other young people, yeah, on this discussion. Thank you very much.
Great. Well, thanks everyone for this very good intervention. So actually, you can see on the screen is we are actually using Pirate Pad because to be technically correct, Google may not be everywhere. I mean, not everywhere can access it actually. To be correct. So we're using Pirate Pad for this open consultation, and there is a link that David has shared in the mailing list as well as on Facebook before for this, which Bianca shared before. And actually we can share it to the Facebook group as well and the mailing list as well again. So we are opening so actually the consultation we target that we can start from we had our call on the 7th, so we start on that, and then we hope to actually end this consultation on the 21st so that we can turn around something that we can really make our process going, and we don't spend too much time on this. Although this is a very important process. David?
Adding on this, because for discussion about how we can approach different people from the community, I think it's very important to have the bottom-up approach to make our community to engage. I think for this discussion is also about the role of the steering committee. They got a responsibility to consult all the members' ideas and doing some consultations on what's happening by all means, not only by like mailing lists, but they should do their best on like Facebook or doing Pirate Pad or even like Google Ad. Those kind of Google document things. It is one of the responsibility. I think it's of everyone's consensus on the topic. That before we go through the Pirate Pack for the question, I think I saw Bianca has raised up her hand. Can we get Bianca from remote to speak on behalf? But I need to know how to. Yeah.
Bianca, are you connected on audio, or technical team? Do you think you can get her on the audio?
Can you hear me?
If Bianca, you're speaking, then we're not hearing, or else maybe you can just type it in the chat if you cannot speak.
Speaking, Bianca. So maybe we should wait a bit. Yeah. I think Bianca has also talked about, because some of you have also mentioned about they should have meetings between the IGF meetings for every time, because it's 1 year time for IGF. We already doing some kind of call to doing the coordination work. We have already got 3 meetings in period of time during this year to coordinate how we should done in this IGF. But I think you guys have made a very good point that there's also one of the mission and the responsibility of steering committee to doing this kind of consultation and regularly have the meetings with the members to make things going and make sure everything is running well.
Bianca, can you try to talk again? I think the host here give you the right.
Can you hear me?
I think it's a audio issue within the room. Can we project the voice from the WebEx? Pim, you have a comment?
Yeah, maybe in the meantime, it's good. I would like to know, because we're now with kind of 6 or 10 of us talking, but there are a lot more people in the room. So maybe can I propose that you ask us the questions whether we would like a steering committee that is more doing proposals and formulating, doing work on their own, or more a communication based. Yeah, just communicating what's happening, etc. So these two kind of steering committees that you asked us.
Do you want to do a show of hands?
Yeah,
or
a
just-
show of hands. Yeah, just to get to see.
Okay, so taking your suggestion, if why don't we do this? I guess we have discussed about the whether the role of the steering committee to be just coordination kind of and organizing the calls and etc. Or they should be the one proposing a draft of those goals and year plan. So if you think it should be the coordination role, can you like have show of your hands? Or how do you want to do that?
Or even. Okay.
Okay.
I think thanks, Janice, for doing. Thanks, Janice, for doing those kind of conclusion work on our discussion. I think it's very good to know everyone's point of views on how you think the steering committee should be. Because Janice has just mentioned about our discussion outcome for the past like half hours, is we think that steering committee should be more like to have the role on coordination instead of doing some kind of proposing the action plans, because it need to be bottoms up and with community engagement in a sense, doing some consultation from the members, but not having the powers to doing all the stuff. This is the very first thing on the coordination, but not doing the proposing. The second one is they should have, by all means, they should reach out to members for consultation, for getting their feedbacks and connecting their voice. It should be the second things the steering committee should be. The third thing I think you guys have also mentioned is about the archive things. Previously, I think for the chapter is also written down for all the meetings, and the minutes should be kept in record and posted on the website. The archive things is very important role that the steering committee should done as a secretary role. So I think is these three areas is what we have mentioned in previous time. But taking Pim's suggestion on doing some rough consensus on the discussion outcomes. As I just mentioned about the three roles we have discussed in these half hours, I would just like to note everyone to show your hands if you think our summaries on these 3 points is not accurate or is not appropriate enough. You can just raise your hand and doing some modification. Please just raise your hand if you think it's not appropriate or it's not accurate. Okay. So I think from the point of view of rough consensus, if there is no objection on these discussion outcomes, I would see this as our consent of our groups. Yep.
Well, actually, I think why don't we? This would be a kind of some of the discussions come out of this meeting, but I guess we still have to feed into this consultation process. I guess we can try to draft something from this summary and then put it into the document as well. But why don't we show the PowerPad again, and then we kind of go through and show everyone what are the questions raised in the process, so that everyone can continue the thinking, and then they can comment offline. I mean, after this meeting as well.
Yep.
And then we can go into talking about how we can want to go forward to really adopt and this process. Okay, Mubashi, please.
I think at the moment we should we should do some discussion on planning our meetings. so that we can plan and discuss on remotely through WebEx or through Adobe, so that we may discuss some issues at the runtime.
Yeah.
It can be quarterly or maybe after 6 months.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I guess we have to discuss next. How, after the consultation, how do we want to turn around this document, or really like agreeing on this is what we want from the, I mean, to be added to the charter, and how this process and how many meetings we want to meet to discuss about this. But before going into that, I think I would like to briefly go through this questions raised in the power pad right now, so that everybody has a sense of where we are and what we have to discuss, like offline as well.
Yep. Maybe I take the mic to do so. For the consultation right now, we got a few questions. For the very first part is about the election. Because we like to doing some sustainable leadership in the YCIG. That's why we're doing the following question to doing the consultation. First is about who can vote, and does all members have voting rights? This is about the openness things. For the second question, it will be about how should the election process be for the steering committee? And sorry, I skipped one. Yeah, they're setting up the steering committee things. And the third one is, what is the timeline for the election process? Because as we know, we got every years of IGF meeting, not IGF, YCIG meeting. That's why you need to have procedures on doing this election stuff. So for the following question, will be the timeline for election process. Followed by is, do we need nomination? And also about the responsibility of the steering committees, as we have discussed. Indeed, we also got some follow-up question. This kind of question is somehow the question we have discussed in the call before we come to the YCIG meetings and in IGF. Is about how does the open process mean? Define the characteristic, then we can able to like enhance in the futures. I think it's important to see how we can make the process to be open, and as you guys have mentioned about we should have those kind of bottom-up approach and in touch with the community, I mean the youth communities on doing and stuff. So open process is very in our mind on how we can make it done. For the futures, we also think about we should have some guiding principles for YCIG on the stuff like the openness, transparency, and how we can engage people to join. I think this kind of question is some follow-up question on top of the election process. Yep, and you can see due to our discussion in before we come to ICIG meetings, we have set the consultation date from 7th to 21, which is 2 weeks time. It's still open for everyone to doing the consultation. So we will share this again in the Facebook group and also in the mailing list. Just feel free to give us your comments, and we're doing those kinds of documentation work afterwards.
Okay, so I guess this just give a brief scope of what we have to discuss about, I mean, offline out of this meeting. And then, but then I guess from, we should, since we only have an hour left, I guess we should discuss about the way forward and the next step, like how we want to move forward with this this charter or this election process. And there is a suggestion actually raised in the remote from the remote chat. So it was actually raised by Martin from the Network of European Digital Youth. So he said the YCIG has a charter. What it does not have is a steering committee. The most feasible way would be to select a preliminary steering committee at IGF along the rules of the charter under 30, and then give them the mandate to facilitate the discussion to rework the charter, enable young people to host the discussion instead of sitting them into process discussing statutes for a forum they're not familiar with. So I guess it's a question right now whether we want to have this preliminary steering committee here, or a working group to carry out this process to organize calls further after this meeting to discuss about this plan. Any comments, Mubash?
Yeah, I think the interim committee should be there to look after all the process, comments, extra elections. The role of interim committee is important. Interim committee can be any comprising a few members, 4 to 5 members, but further for elections we can have representation from the regions. We can discuss it offline.
Okay. Lauren.
For the record, Florian again. Pim just showed me the proposal part that everybody can see now in blue. Maybe we can get it a little bigger, yeah. In general, I think there's in the room an agreement that we need some kind of working group to work on the charter. So, but we cannot map it and decide anything in this room. We really have to do it via the mailing list. So, I would say an open call via the mailing list for people who want to join a working group. This working group is then allowed to rework the charter, or draft for the charter. For this draft of the charter, then we go in an open comment round where everybody can again comment and bring their suggestions in. And with this process, we should come to a final charter that can then be used to actually elect the steering group, and then we can start working. Yeah.
Yeah, for the record, Pim, maybe to clarify, that keeps the discussion of, okay, how does election process and how do we need a preliminary steering committee, etc., away from this meeting, but then we just say, okay, everyone can sign up for step one, everyone can sign up to get into a working group. The working group, which I thought was a very good idea from the audience, the working group creates a call in a mailing list for the organization, you guys, the organization of today, create a call for the mailing list to create a working group. Everyone can participate in a working group. If there are a lot of people, we make sub-working groups to work on the charter. There is step 2 is there's a draft charter that everyone in step 3 can give input on. Step 4 is that via the mailing list, which is the most political neutral way, a vote is done on that specific charter. So do we agree or not? Do we change it? And then the 5th is that via the charter, the steering committee is proposed and elected according as agreed by the whole community.
Thanks, Pim and Lauren, for the really good suggestion and proposal. So, is there any other comments or objection to this proposal? I think so. The next step, if there is no other opinion, I guess we would have to set up a working group and see if in this room anybody would like to volunteer to join this working group to review the charter and also I think the main working group output would be to really organize calls for further consultation as well.
If someone wants to volunteer, how will be the work? What the person exactly has to do, or how the person is going to participate?
Maybe I answer this question first. For the work you need to done is first to join the call. The secondly, because I think you mainly from the Youth IGF program, if you are on behalf, you should like to doing some consultation among your peers to review the chapters. But in the other sense, I'm just thinking is for the working group, because we are now doing some consultation on the private pack. They will be taking the secretary role to consolidate all the things into a clear document, because it's just with those kind of comments in many ways is hard somehow it's hard to read. So I think it's more taking the editor's role to doing the work on these two sets, on editing role and also on the consultation role. Thank you.
I may have interest in volunteering for the working group, but I would like to read the charter first. So would it be possible for me to volunteer later through the groups, or does it have to be now?
No, actually, sorry. I should make myself clear. Okay, so I guess what we have to do next is we will send open like call for volunteers to the working group in the mailing list and Facebook group, and then so we set how long do you think we should open this volunteer period to be, like a week or? Okay, so we'll open 2 weeks, like so people travel back home. Okay, yeah, and then read the charter. Okay, so we'll open a 2 weeks window for people to volunteer to join this working group, which the goal is to define the process and then do the editing of this document on the Power Pack after organizing calls and consultations with our members through mailing lists and Facebook and everything. I mean, and then the working group has to provide a like clean version of the document and then to circulate to the mailing list again for members to adopt and agree on. So is that clear, and is the room okay with this suggestion? I see nods of head. Okay, so if that's, I guess that would be an action item for us, and yeah.
Because as we're open for 2 more weeks for joining working group, so I would suggest the consultation period should be extended a bit. Probably maybe extend 2 more weeks in a sense to doing more consultation by the new working group members.
Actually, I am thinking because the 2 weeks is for forming the working group, should we let the working group to further define the consultation period? Agree? Okay, cool.
Okay, so I think we have done with the process. So we move to the other agenda.
Is there any other comments on this particular steering committee discussion before we move on? Okay, no.
Oh, sorry. Maybe just a small suggestion, because the current charter, a lot of terms are poorly defined. So I think that just for the record, maybe the working group can work on the definition of, for instance, what is meant by open, as you've mentioned. I think that they have to make it clear, like what they mean in the charter. It's just a small suggestion.
Thanks, Felix.
I think I do so too. Okay, so we just move to the other session if there's no more comments. Okay. So for the other session I would like to do now is about setting up. Sorry, I firstly stopped sharing. So reading from our agenda, it should be the way to move forward for the next IGF, because for this year we have done the work like the newbies ABC for the ABC for newbies, and also we have done the youth mentorship meetup. I think many of you have already joined the youth meetup and also have a look on the ABC online. I would like to invite your views and collecting your views on what we can done next for the IGF, that we can engage more youth and getting them to be well prepared for their meetings. For this session, I will be welcoming feedbacks on the 2 mentioned activity we have done in this pursuit IGF, and for the other area is we welcome any comments and suggestions for the next IGF. Should we just keep these 2 models to be organized in the next one, or is there any modification should be needed? We welcome floor to raise question.
Maybe I'm Felix again. Maybe I'll start off with another small suggestion, is that for the remote participation, a lot of times we just throw out a single link and then without much explanation and without adjusting the time differences and stuff. So it would be kind of hard for our peers, especially youth that are not coming to the IGF, to really participate in the remote conference. So I think that we can have a more comprehensive, let's say, a Google file that outlines kind of the background of the workshops and kind of detailed instructions on how to participate in the remote participation, because we represent that mission, and some ambassadors may have some problems in the remote participation. So they wanted to join, but there are all sort of different technical difficulties that constrained the access. Thank you.
Okay. Just on this, on the activities, this is something that I don't know. I just wanted to flout out to you guys, and I hope you're going to support this idea. Um, the current mandate of the IGF is being renewed. I'm sure all of you know about that. And today, during the discussions with the Assistant Secretary General of the UN, I talked about having it in writing about the UN commitment to youth in internet governance discussions, and they suggested that we do a formal process of writing to them about this. And I was thinking, right now the WISI zero draft doesn't really focus that much on youth, and part of the suggestion is, if it's possible, we come up with a public Google Doc, and then we can look at the WISI zero draft and provide. This one is a very short deadline. I think it's a week, and it would require some people to volunteer their time. What we would want the UN WISI's ambassadors, the two of them who are co-facilitating the annual discussions, to take into account on youth issues. It's been hard to have this discussion about youth because, and talking to also to past YCIG members, is the fact that this discussion moves from different places to different places. We need people who are committed to just volunteer their time and come up with like a short statement. I don't know if that is, because I was looking at the previous activities of the YCIG within the current charter as it is. It is allowed to do that, and in the past they have released statements, and I was just thinking we need to contribute to this zero draft before the deadline. I don't know if that's something anyone would want to join me in, because I'm willing to set up some time and just come up. It shouldn't be something long, just a short statement, maybe a page or two, if that's okay. Yeah, that's my suggestion on what has happened right now, taking into account the kind of support that the IGF has done for this year's, for us to have the youth meetup, for us to have young people from Latin America join us at this IGF, and for this continuity to be there for next year's IGF in Mexico, if it is going to be renewed. We just need to come up with like a statement or something. I don't know. It's just something I wanted to raise out there. And then, yeah, thank you.
I'm sorry, but I do have a small question on the youth statement, because I'm here not because I'm a youth. I'm here because I'm a part of the internet. So why do we have to specifically label ourselves as youth and say that we have to participate because we are youth? It's just a question, because I'm not so sure what you mean by the statement.
Yeah. On this, the reason I wanted to raise out this is, for example, take into account the amount of young people that you've seen, not just in this IGF but in other IGFs. The youth are the majority of the internet users across the world. but then when it comes to decisions on how the internet is governed, freedom of expression online, privacy issues online, like all these issues online that affects young people, we are not involved in the discussions. I was just thinking like we need to push much further. Like the current mandate of the Youth Coalition on Internet Governance, if I may just go to Article 7 of the current charter, it says activities of the Dynamic Youth Coalition will include but not limited to advocacy for youth participation and youth leadership at IGFs, representing youth participation in IGF workshops and panels, participating actively in discussions and debates on youth issues, and providing recommendations to stakeholders in the field of internet governance and the organizers of IGF regarding the involvement of young people. So I was just going back to our charter that this is within our mandate, and we don't take this Article 7 of our charter very actively. We need to reactivate that Article 7 because it was being used by the previous committees. I don't know. I was just thinking. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
I think that there lies a question whether this statement will be representing YCIG as like consensus or but this statement will be I mean who is behind this statement. So I think if we agree that it will be something from the YCIG, then we have to define, I mean we have to make like an open process on developing this as well. So I guess the question is, how do we want to do this, or do we just want to be like a kind of volunteer to join you to like to work on that, or
Hello, Florian here. Yeah, I fully can agree with you. I think it's important to produce some kind of statement, even if it's on a certain time pressure, and we actually we should work on the chapter and stuff. But I think it's really necessary to make clear that the young people care about it. So I would suggest that we use the mailing list again to decide on how we are going to do this, because right now we cannot decide, we can only discuss. But I certainly think it's a good idea to create an online document, even if it's not Google, as you said, to keep it really accessible for everybody, and to create a statement that everybody can agree with. And then maybe if the time allows it, send it back to the members via the mailing list again, to get the confirmation of everybody, and then we can publish it. So I think it should be possible to do this in 1 week. Yeah.
No, it's
Just
just.
saw the hand in the back. We let the new voice to be speak first. Yep.
I'm going to talk about
Okay.
what he was talking. We start to talk because I think you know Daniel, but the most part of the people doesn't know yet. We from the Youth Lag from Latin America, Caribbean, we've made a youth observatory. We have a Facebook account. For now, it's only written in Spanish and Portuguese, but we have a declaration made in English too, also in English, and we can send you the link. It's in Google Docs, so can give suggestions, because we are trying to make it an international document. For now, it's from Latin America because we are from Latin America, but we want to spread ideas and we want to make agreements. I've talked to some people from other countries, like French speakers countries, to translate it into French or other languages, because we want to spread our ideas and we want to listen what people want to tell us. So I think it's very important to do agreements with the youth coalition from Asia. So it's important. And I had a doubt about the mailing list. It still exists, yeah.
Yeah.
And we have signed, and we are going to participate in the mailing list too. Yeah. Okay.
Good.
Do you want to talk?
So anything
Okay.
to add?
He's going to complement the speech about the Internet Observatory, the Youth Observatory.
Please go ahead.
Just going to compliment what he said. as you said, we have our statement or declaration of the Youth for Latin America and Caribbean, but the original idea with the observatory and the declaration was to expand and make contact with all other youth groups around the world. So maybe in the future, really soon, we can expand on that declaration to make it global, view upon it, listen to everyone from other groups, as well as make a global youth observatory to make content for youth from youth. Because just like Efren said, we're most of the population on the internet, but we're not involved in the decisions. And sometimes the way people make decisions and publish content regarding internet governance is not made in a kind of language or an approach suitable for young people. So we have to take upon arms to do this all ourselves to other youth to spread the word. So I think it would be a nice idea to, if everyone could take a look at our declaration and maybe use it as a reference point or to build upon it.
Thank you for your question. We got a remote participation question. Is ready? Please go ahead. Seems we got some question.
While we are waiting, we have another opinion.
Yeah.
I'll come down the front. Hi everybody. My name's Nick. I'm from the UK government, and first of all, I was really pleased to see I'm still young enough to be able to join the youth IGF, which is great. And also, you guys organise the best after parties in the IGF, so definitely well done for that. I just wanted to say a couple of things, and I picked up on just a couple of those last points about sort of participation and feeling involved in these kind of processes. There's also the national IGFs, which are open for everyone to participate. The young people included. We have a national IGF in the UK, which was held at Chatham House in London back in June, and it was noted there that there was a distinct lack of young people, and it's certainly something I picked up on, and I'd like to see change and see more young people at next year's national IGF in the UK. So what I'm going to do is share my details, my contact details with the guys here, and I'd very much like to sort of get the thoughts and ideas of the people in this room as to how we as a government can reach out and engage with you guys. So it's not just about the young people having to get involved. There's a two-way dialogue here, coming from governments as well, and how we can get you involved in our national processes, which feed our thinking as governments as part of our multi-stakeholder approach, to how we can then sort of take your considerations and feed those in to the recommendations that we make as governments, in some of these issues. So I just wanted to take the opportunity to thank you very much. I think you've got a great thing here, and I'd be very keen to sort of see how I can help get you guys involved as well. So thank you.
Sorry. Because of time, I see maybe 3 hands from Anya. Okay. We got 2 hands. From the very first is from the back, and then in the front. After these 2 questions, I'll close the session. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm Auke from Nerdy and the Dutch delegation. First of all, I want to reject on the English guy because he was telling that this is a great meeting. I disagree. I thought we had a clear agenda about how we would discuss some items, but we have only talked about the definition of what the steering committee is looking like. But the definition is just in dictionaries. but what have we actually created right now? Because I think this is a waste of time.
Thank you for your question. I think it's very important to get you to engage in the process to make it meaningful. And the other question from in back, but in front.
Yeah, I just like to remind you that we, besides the youth, the IGF, the Internet Governance Forum, the international one, we have a lot of national ones that we could participate in a remote way, like in Bangladesh, Indonesia, Benin. So we could search, we could try to learn know more about them, and to join it to and give our participation to make it more international, because these are preparation to the international one. So it's important to have our engagement there too.
You got last one.
Just to answer his question, I see is about to leave and the time is almost up. On why we will not have an interim steering committee right now is because we want to have this process to maybe have an election over the internet if possible, like other coalitions. They do their elections over the internet and involve everyone who's not here. Because if we do it here right now, we're not gonna have everybody involved, even those who maybe did not have the finances to be here. So that's just to answer. Like, we need to take care of the remote. We need to do this remotely, and that's why I would suggest seeking help from, let's say, other people who do these elections in non-commercial user consistency, best bits network, these kind of networks which do these things remotely. They have experience and they have the infrastructure, and I'm sure some of them will be willing to donate their infrastructure, like the expertise on facilitating such kind of an electronic. And just to answer, he wanted the elections right now. He said it's a waste of time if we postpone it. So I just wanted to say that we need to do this over the internet and seek help from others so that you can include others. Thank you.
Okay, so for the time limit, I'll just round up the session. Could the remote participation just show the slide? No, sorry, the technical guy just showed the slide. Hand raised at the back. Okay, the hand at the back, you got your last chance to have like 30 seconds to speak up. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Sarah from Guatemala. We met yesterday at the party with everyone. I have like a social announcement. We are like hosting another after party in the same place.
Yeah, cool.
So bring money, beers, and friends and everything. So we can have this conversation in another field, you know, more relaxed and everything. Just chill out.
Cool.
And thank you.
Okay, thank you. So I just for the roundup, could the technical guys just show the slide? I got a few links for everyone. For the wrap up, about the way to move forward, there are a suggestion on how we can doing remote participation more efficiently. Hopefully this can be done for next year. I think this would be one of the goals. And the other thing is about the statement stuff. FM has raised the question and raised the ideas of having a statement. I know that for the Latin American IGF youth IGF group, you also got the declaration and statement have already been done. I think you guys can firstly add on the mailing list, and we can keep the discussion online to keep everything running. Make sure the process should be open to all, and because it is for declaration, I think is and also it's for a statement on behalf of youth. I think it should be like bottom-up approach and with the community engagement. You can see from the link there are a few information to share. First is the Facebook. The Facebook group is an informal way to communication. This is Youth Coalition on Internet Governance. It's a very long work. You can just type it and you can join the group. We can have discussion there. But at the same time, we got a mailing list. The mailing list is mainly doing some archive things. You can share your documents and your opinions there. We'll keep having check on mailing list. So you can go to the mailing list for more information and to keep everyone in touch, no matter on the statement stuff and also the other things to get discussion. And the third thing is about the website. You can go to the website to have a look. They got some information and also the chapter is on it. And the last one is the IGF ABC for newbies. I do the promotion and I think you guys got the postcard. This is the very first initiative we're working on for engaging newbies. They also got some information of YCIG. You can go to the website to have a look. The other stuff is about an announcement. For the joy collaboration of YCIG, we tomorrow have another session, workshop 191. That will be in room 7 at 11 o'clock. The main purpose is we wish to have the youth from different areas to join the meetings to like somehow like downloading your opinions on how the IGF can be more youth friendly, and the other stuff is about how indeed is about any internet governance issue you are concerned most. After that, we can doing some outcome documents as one of the very important outcomes for the workshop tomorrow. So here I would like to send an invitation to you all. Please join us tomorrow morning at 11. Hope everyone can still attending after the party tonight. It will be in workshop 7, workshop room 7.
And just to add, yeah, that's how we'll start the process of coming up with a statement. We'll take into account the statements which have been made before by regional youth IGFs, national IGFs, and yeah, and then there is we're going to come up with that's the one of the outcomes because it's a practicum. We're going to have different stakeholders. We're going to like do a mock. I know most of you have participated in Model United Nations type of debates. So we're gonna have civil society, private sector, like we're going to divide ourselves into different stakeholders and then come up with a joint statement, if that's okay. And then, yeah, I'm sure it's going to be awesome. So see you tomorrow. It's 90 minutes just like today, and please stand up early, come up with friends. I'm glad we are full. Then please leave your contacts with us. There was a paper going around. We want to include in all the communications and add you to the discussions. There's some discussions, some contacts we had during last year's IGF in Turkey and other IGF. So we need just to keep this discussion going and connect you to other people who participated in this before. So if you've not left your contacts, leave your contacts with us. See you tonight. See you tomorrow morning. Yeah, 11 p.m.
Yeah,
Excuse me.
yeah.
Excuse me.
Thank you everyone for joining. You also got some new.
It's just to remind you that our declaration is totally open to receive suggestions and all opinions because we want to make it better and better. So if you can add suggestions to it, we are going to receive in a very good way. So thank you for your participation.
Yeah, thank you. And for tomorrow workshop, we will got a session for you to describe about your declaration. Okay, once again, thanks everyone for coming. For our action items, we were doing. Yeah, of course, the very first thing is party. And the other things we will keep everyone on check on the mailing list. Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.